Okay, so today we're diving into something I think a lot of people really want to get a handle on. We're talking about building wealth.
Yeah, wealth is one of those things, right? It can feel kind of huge and almost like this big mystery,
Hmm.
and maybe even a little intimidating. Like, where do you even start?
Absolutely. It can feel kind of overwhelming. But that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We're going to break it down, make it make sense, and pull out some practical stuff you can actually use.
Yeah, for sure. And for this one, we're looking at this really interesting conversation from the English Leap podcast. It's actually geared toward people learning English, which you might not think would be the first place to go for financial wisdom. But Jennifer and Daniel, the hosts, they did this amazing job of breaking down these core ideas about building wealth, making them super clear and relatable no matter who you are or what your background is.
Exactly. And that's what we want to do here too, right? Take those nuggets of wisdom from Jennifer and Daniel and zero in on the stuff that'll really help you, the listener, help you understand the fundamentals of building wealth without getting lost in the weeds. This isn't about getting rich quick schemes. It's about building a solid foundation for your financial well-being. It's about making choices that'll pay off in the long run. And they started with a question I think is so important. They asked, what does wealth really mean? Because it's more than just the amount you see in your bank account after payday.
Right. That's where they drew this crucial distinction between income and wealth. And it's foundational, really. You could be pulling in a really good salary, but if it's all going out the door as fast as it comes in, well, you're not actually building wealth, are you?
It's like pouring water into a leaky bucket.
Exactly.
You-
And that's the image they use, too. It's so true.
So I'm curious, what did they say about the actual definition of wealth then?
Well, they made this point that wealth is more about what you keep. It's what you save, what you invest, and the assets you build up that can grow over time. Things like stocks, bonds, which basically means you're lending money to a company or the government, and real estate. These are the things that can potentially increase in value and really contribute to that sense of financial security you're looking for.
So it's not just about the money coming in, it's about what you do with it, how you make it work for you over time.
Right. It's that shift in perspective, moving away from just focusing on your salary and toward building resources that provide a safety net and have the potential for future growth. And, Jennifer actually talked about how she was earning a good salary early in her career, but she realized she wasn't really any closer to financial security because she wasn't prioritizing saving and investing.
Yeah, and Daniel had a similar realization. He talked about looking at his account after a few months of working his first job and realizing it was all gone. Just poof. Spent on stuff that, looking back, didn't really matter. It was a big wake-up call for both of them.
It really highlights that even if you're earning a decent income, it doesn't automatically translate into building something substantial for the future. You have to be intentional about it. And that kind of leads us to the next big thing they talked about, setting financial goals.
Because if you don't have a target, how do you know what you're aiming for?
Exactly. You got to have that direction, that purpose. And both Jennifer and Daniel, they emphasize how setting clear financial goals gives you that. Daniel, he talked about wanting to save up for his first car. And Jennifer mentioned tackling her student loan debt by breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
That's such a good point. Okay, so we've got this foundation of understanding what wealth is, and we've set some clear financial goals. What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Well, now that you know where you want to go, you got to figure out how to get there right.
Hmm.
And that's where investing comes in. It's a key tool for actually building wealth.
So it's more than just saving.
It is. Saving is essential, absolutely. But investing, that's where your money really starts to work harder for you. It's got the potential to grow much faster over time.
Now, I know a lot of people find investing intimidating. Did they talk about specific ways to invest?
They did. They touched on a few different avenues. Stocks, which means you're actually buying a tiny piece of ownership in a company. Bonds, those loans we talked about. Mutual funds, which are like a basket of different investments managed by professionals, a good way to diversify without needing a ton of money up front. And even real estate.
So there are options.
Yeah, definitely. And, Jennifer was more comfortable starting with mutual funds while Daniel started with his retirement account. It just shows that there's no one right way to go about it. It's about finding what works for you, what you're comfortable with, and what aligns with your goals and your risk tolerance.
So you don't have to be a Wall Street whiz to get started.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
And that's what they really emphasized. The power of consistent contributions. Even small, regular investments can add up over time. It's the magic of compounding. You're
Yeah.
not just earning returns on your initial investment, but also on the interest or profits you've already earned. It's like a snowball effect. It just keeps growing.
I love that analogy. It makes it so much more understandable.
Right. So you don't need to make these big, risky bets to start building wealth through investing. It's more about consistency and letting time do its thing.
Okay, so we've covered saving, investing, setting goals. What about the flip side? What are some of the things that can hinder wealth building?
Well, they talked about debt, especially high interest debt like credit cards.
Oh, yeah. Credit card debt can be a real killer.
For sure. Daniel actually shared this story about learning the hard way about credit card interest, and he kind of laughed about it now. But you could tell it was a real learning experience for him.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's easy to get caught up in the moment and not realize how quickly that interest can add up.
Exactly. And they both stressed how important it is to use credit responsibly. Try to pay off your balances in full each month and avoid falling into that trap of high-interest debt. It can really set you back.
Okay, so we're managing our debt, we're making smart investments, we're clear on our goals. What else did they talk about?
Well, this might sound super simple, but they talked about the power of automation.
Automation, like robots building our wealth.
Not quite, haha, but kinda. They were talking about setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings and investment accounts. It might seem like a small thing, but it can make a huge difference.
As-
Well, think about it. When it's automated, you don't have to think about it. The money just moves automatically. You're less tempted to spend it on other things because it's already gone. And before you know it, your savings and investments are growing without you having to lift a finger. It's like putting your wealth building on autopilot.
I like that. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to constantly be making those decisions.
Exactly. And that consistency is what really makes it powerful over time.
Okay, ready for another key principle?
Lay it on me.
Living below your means. Sounds obvious, right? But in a world where we're bombarded with messages to buy more, spend more, it can be a real challenge.
It's so true. It's easy to fall into that trap of lifestyle inflation, right? Where your spending keeps going up as your income increases.
Exactly. And if your spending keeps pace with your income, you're not actually getting ahead. You're not building wealth. They talked about making conscious choices about how you spend your money. Jennifer did this great example about sticking with her older car, even though she could afford a newer one. She chose to invest the difference instead. It's about prioritizing your long-term financial well-being over those immediate wants.
Right. And then they talked about this really interesting idea, exploring multiple streams of income.
So not just relying on one paycheck.
Exactly. It's about creating more financial security and potentially speeding up your wealth building journey. Daniel talked about starting a small online business as a side hustle. Jennifer mentioned freelance consulting, rental properties, and investing in the stock market. There are so many possibilities these days.
It's about not putting all your eggs in one basket. And with all the online platforms and opportunities out there, it's easier than ever to explore those different avenues for income.
Okay, we've covered so much ground here. What was their final takeaway?
Well, they wrapped up by talking about the importance of mindset. It's not just about the numbers and the strategies. It's about how you think about money and wealth.
So, your beliefs about money can actually affect your ability to build wealth. Exactly. They said that believing you can build wealth, truly believing it, and sticking to your financial plan is a huge part of actually achieving it. On the other hand, if you have these negative beliefs, if you think wealth is only for other people, it can create major roadblocks. Jennifer talked about how she used to think that way, but then she realized that anyone can build wealth with the right knowledge and habits.
It's that classic growth mindset idea, believing that you can improve your financial situation over time.
Exactly. And they also talked about the importance of taking calculated risks, whether it's with investing or starting a business. You got to be willing to step outside your comfort zone sometimes, but it's key to do your research and start small.
And they made a point of saying that making mistakes is totally normal.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and keep going. Like they said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Building wealth takes time, effort, and the right attitude to get through those inevitable bumps in the road.
So to sum it all up for you, our listener, building wealth isn't about some magic formula or getting lucky. It's a journey. It's about taking it step by step, brick by brick. It's about saving diligently, investing wisely, managing your debt, living below your means, and maybe even exploring those extra streams of income. But at the core of it all is your mindset. It's about believing in yourself and your ability to learn and grow in the world of personal finance.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to ponder. Think about one area we discussed today that really resonated with you. Maybe it was taking stock of your debt, brainstorming a side hustle, or setting a small financial goal for the next month. What's one concrete action you can take this week to start building that solid financial foundation? And remember, even small, consistent actions can have a huge impact over time. Just like that snowball effect with investing, those positive financial habits can build momentum and lead to amazing results in the long run.
So take that first step and keep building brick by brick.
You got this.